The Cursed Mask of the Sangoma. The old market in the heart of Johannesburg was a place of wonder and mystery, where traders from all over Africa gathered to sell their wares. Among the stalls filled with vibrant fabrics, carved wooden statues, and glistening jewelry, there was one shop that few dared to enter. It was a tiny, dimly lit store, nestled between two crumbling buildings, its entrance adorned with strange bones and dried herbs. The shop belonged to Baba Jolly, an old Sangoma, a traditional healer with a reputation that stretched far beyond the city limits. Many sought his wisdom, but just as many feared him. He was a man of deep knowledge, keeper of secrets older than time itself. But there was one item in his collection that even he refused to speak of: the mask. It was said that the mask was cursed, an artifact of dark power. Crafted centuries ago by a rogue Sangoma, it was used in forbidden rituals, ceremonies meant to bind spirits to the living world. Those who dared wear it were never the same again. Some lost their minds, others simply vanished, their bodies found days later with expressions of sheer terror frozen on their faces. One fateful evening, a young man named Kwame entered Baba Jolly's shop. He was a student of anthropology, eager to document the cultural heritage of Africa. His curiosity often led him to places others avoided, and on this night, it brought him to the Sangoma's doorstep. Baba Jolly looked up from his herbs and powders, his wrinkled face unreadable. "You should not be here, boy," he muttered, grinding a mix of roots and bones with a wooden pestle. Kwame smiled, unfazed. "I mean no harm, Baba. I study the history of our people, and I've heard rumors about a powerful mask. I want to learn its story." The old man's eyes darkened. "Some stories are not meant to be told." But Kwame was persistent. He offered money, respect, and an oath to share the tale with reverence. After a long silence, Baba Jolly sighed and gestured to the back of the shop. "If you must know, then see for yourself." Kwame stepped forward, his heart pounding. The mask lay inside a glass case, covered with a layer of red cloth. As he lifted the fabric, he felt an icy chill snake up his spine. The mask was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was carved from dark ebony wood, its surface smooth yet somehow alive. Hollowed eyes stared back at him, deep and endless. The lips were slightly parted as though whispering a silent warning. Strange symbols were etched into the forehead, pulsating under the dim light. He reached out, his fingers trembling, and the moment they grazed the wood, the world around him shifted. A violent wind howled through the shop, knocking over bottles and scattering herbs. The candles flickered wildly, and Baba Jolly's voice rang out. "Foolish boy, you have awakened it!" Kwame's vision blurred, and suddenly he was no longer in the shop. He stood in the middle of a dense forest, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. Drums echoed in the distance, their rhythm deep and foreboding. Shadowy figures moved between the trees, whispering in a language he did not understand. He turned in circles, panic rising. "Hello!" he called out. "Is anyone there?" A soft chuckle came from behind him. He spun around and gasped. A woman stood before him, draped in flowing red robes. Her face was obscured by a mask identical to the one in the shop. But unlike the lifeless wood he had touched, this mask moved, its lips curling into a sinister smile. "You should not have come here," she said, her voice smooth yet filled with menace. Kwame stumbled backward. "Where am I? What is this place?" The woman tilted her head. "You stand in the realm of the forgotten, the place between the living and the dead." She stepped closer, and though she glided gracefully, her feet never touched the ground. "Tell me, boy, why have you disturbed my slumber?" "I didn't mean to." Kwame's breath came in short gasps. "I only wanted to learn about the mask." The woman's smile widened. "Then learn you shall. With a wave of her hand, the forest melted away, and Kwame found himself in a village unlike any he had seen before. The people moved like ghosts, their faces blurred, their voices whispers in the wind. In the center of it all stood a great fire, and around it, Sangomas in red robes chanted, their hands raised toward the heavens. Kwame watched in horror as they brought forth a man, bound in chains. His eyes were wild with fear, and his mouth opened in a silent scream. The woman in the mask appeared beside him. This was the first to wear the mask. He sought power beyond his station, and so he was cursed to dwell between worlds. The Sangomas placed the mask upon the man's face, and instantly his body convulsed. A blood-curdling scream ripped through the air as his form twisted, his skin darkening like burnt wood, his eyes glowing with an unnatural light. When the transformation was complete, he stood, no longer human, but something else, something monstrous. Kwame tried to turn away, but the woman grasped his chin, forcing him to watch. This is the fate of those who seek forbidden knowledge. You have touched the mask, and now its spirit clings to you. No, Kwame whispered, his voice cracking. There must be a way to undo this. The woman leaned in, her breath cold against his skin. There is only one way. Suddenly, Kwame was back in Baba Jali's shop, gasping for air. The old man was chanting furiously, throwing handfuls of powder around the room. The mask lay on the floor, glowing faintly. Kwame scrambled away from it. What happened? Baba Jali knelt beside him, his face grim. You have glimpsed the truth. The mask is not just an object, it is a prison. Those who wear it become part of its curse, trapped between the living and the dead. Kwame swallowed hard. How do I break free? The Sangoma hesitated. You must return the mask to where it was made, deep in the heart of the Congo, in a temple lost to time. Only there can the spirits be appeased. Kwame's mind reeled. The thought of traveling into the unknown, facing whatever horrors awaited, filled him with dread. But he had no choice. The mask had chosen him, and until he ended its curse, it would never let him go. As he left the shop, the weight of the journey ahead pressed upon him. The wind whispered through the streets, carrying an eerie laugh. The mask was watching, and it was waiting.